How's it everyone, this is Lolcohol, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a brief build update for my Exsanguinate Seismic Trap Saboteur, where I will be showing you my current setup and also answering some of your most frequently asked questions that I've seen on stream and both in the YouTube comments. So during the weekend I got this character to level 91, as you can see here, and I just completed my first Sirus on stream. I tried to do a Sirus 8 and it was a bit of a disaster, shall we say, but mainly because of player error. I completely panicked. It was just, I'll link it in the description if you want to see the VOD, but then afterwards someone came along and said, can you do my Sirus 5? And I did it and it was fine. I still died a couple of times, but once again, because I suck at killing bosses, not because the build's bad. In the description, I'm also going to include my current POB, but that being said, this is not the finalist of the final build. Once I've fully geared this character up and done more of the endgame content like Maven and that, I will do a final build update for you. So, first question is to do with survivability. Some people said they're dying a lot and they don't know what to do. They feel a bit squishy. What I would suggest, if this is you, is take off Pride if you're using it. Get rid of Pride and instead use Grace. Grace is going to add a ton of evasion. If you see my defense, I have 43% chance to evade attacks. If I put that on, now it's 68. This is a level 19 one, but this is a lot of evasion. Also, if you pair that with a Jade Flask with evasion rating and you pop that, suddenly I'm at 76% evasion. This is a huge survivability increase over Pride. And in early maps, you should have enough damage that you don't really need to be using Pride. If you're dying and the Scourge content is a bit rippy, try using Grace. But another thing I can recommend, very important in this league, is a Quartz Flask. Not only does this give you some spell suppression, which I'll get into later, but it also gives you phasing. This will allow you to run through mobs and you won't have to worry about collisions again. In Scourge, when you hit that button and go into Nightmare, there's going to be lots of monsters around you. If you don't have a phasing flask, you're going to bump into things, get caught and die. So very important to have a phasing flask this league. Lastly, a Divine Life Flask with instant recovery on low life. This is, again, very important. If you're going to get hit, you don't want to have to then wait 3 seconds for your life to fill up. So I've been using this. Speaking of spell suppression, this is probably one of my new favorite defensive mechanics. It feels really good. What it does is when you get hit by a spell, instead of the previous method of dodging it was to just, you either dodge it and take no damage, or it hits you and you take all the damage. This instead reduces the amount of damage you take from spell hits. So currently I have a 61% chance, but with my flask it's 71. I would like to get this to 100, which I'll probably get in the final version of the build. But looking over at the tree, I've allocated these nodes. This is 666, 12% chance to suppress spell damage. Also over here we have more spell suppression. And then if you want to go all in, you can go up here. Here's even more spell suppression. And all of this combined will make you feel a lot safer and tankier. So if you do feel like you're dying a lot, you can use some of these various things to try bulk up. I've also gone all the way over to Constitution, which you may not have seen in the original build, but I feel like it's pretty good. I might change this, but again, this is still a work in progress, and I'll show you the final build when it's done. Next problem, some people have been complaining that they can't sustain their mana. In my path of building, I show that, oh no, I only have like 40 mana unreserved. How am I casting anything? The main thing to look out for is Life Tap. Life Tap allows us to use life instead of mana to cast our spells. So what this means is we can actually reserve almost all of our mana, not quite all of it, but almost all of it, which means that we'll be using life for Exsanguinate, and then life for Seismic Trap. And then the reason I have a little bit of mana left over is because I'm casting Assassin's Mark with mana. Alternatively, you could put Assassin's Mark over here and then also use life to cast that. And then Flame Dash as well. Flame Dash is linked with faster casting. and life tap. So this also uses mana. This is quite important because if you run out of mana and you can't flame dash, it might kill you. So drop the Arcane Surge, put in life tap, and then most of your skills, except for either Assassin's Mark and Bear Trap, are going to be used to cast with life and not mana. Another question that I've been getting a lot is, what is my current aura setup? So I have decided on War Banner, Summon Skitterbots, Precision, Pride, and Arctic Armor. Now, if you're doing this build, you may not be able to reserve all of these. However, I found this in lab. Arctic Armor has 75 increased mana reservation efficiency, and that paired along with Charisma will allow you to use all of these auras. However, if you don't have this helmet with this enchant, you can actually just remove this cluster and then take off Arctic Armor. The reason I'm using this is mainly for the freeze immunity, but you can take that off and then instead have freeze immunity on a Flask. However, once again, if you're dying a lot, swap out Pride for Grace just for the extra evasion. Something I was doing earlier, actually, was this, where I would run maps with Grace because I felt like, my damage is good enough. I don't really need the extra damage from Pride. I'll rather use this, so if I'm getting lots of small hits, I'll evade more of them. And then when I got to a boss, I would just turn on Pride, and that would help with the single target. So you can do something like that, and then see if you can get a helmet like this, or maybe even Pride reservation efficiency. Also, in terms of reservation efficiency, there is, in the Evasion Mastery, there's Grace mana reservation efficiency. It's all over the tree. There's also a mastery here that says increase mana reservation efficiency of skills. So there's reservation everywhere. And I would say just see what you can fit in, but this is my current setup and how I have it running. While we're on the tree, let's have a look at some of the changes to it. So one of the major changes is I'm pathing up this way instead of going through this way. You can still go this way. This is fine. This is a lot of evasion and energy shield, so this is fine, but I'm just doing this to save some points. And then in terms of masteries, looking at my trap masteries, I have Summon Skitterbots, has 50% increased mana reservation efficiency, and traps cannot be damaged. As for the crit ones, I've got you take reduced extra damage from crits, just for more survivability. However, the crit against unique enemies is great, and also crit chance against enemies on full life is also pretty nice, but I would probably say the crit multi against unique enemies is very good for bossing, but if you want to survive, you can take this node instead. As for the life masteries, I've taken 50 flat life and 10% increased max life, reduced life recovery rate, and then over here, for spell suppression, crit strike chance is increased by your chance to suppress spell damage, and I have about 70% spell suppression, so this is 70% increased critical strike chance. Also, 10% chance to suppress spell damage if your boots, helmet, and gloves have evasion. That's also a very nice one, but my helmet doesn't have evasion, so I'm not using that currently. As for the evasion nodes, I have increased evasion rating from body armor. Also, the Grace one is very nice and cannot be stunned if you've been hit recently. All of these are pretty good. I probably wouldn't take the movement speed one, but I mean, even that one's good. All of these are pretty good, but this is the one that I'm using at the moment. I also want to draw your attention to this little section of the tree, which probably looks a bit different. I completely missed these nodes when I was looking at the tree. So this is a hell of a lot of chaos resistance. So if you want chaos resistance to stay alive, you can take this. And then also, the mastery gives you corrupted blood immunity, either that or more resistance and more chaos resistance. These are all really nice, but the way I've done it, and thanks to Zizka for this, was Intuitive Leap. And then this allows me to allocate passives without them being connected to the tree. So with that, I've got an extra power charge. I've got an extra frenzy charge. I have one with evil, so a lot of chaos res, and resourcefulness. This is a nice node that previously on the tree, I kind of pathed all the way around here and went down. That was just very bad pathing. I actually dropped this from the tree, but once I got in the intuitive leap, I felt like, oh, this is actually a really nice node. Now, another question is, should I be using Tinkerskin? Should I be using Perfect Form? Should I be using Carcass Jack? The long and short of it is Tinkerskin is great for mapping, Carcass Jack is great for bossing, and Perfect Form is more defensive because it allows you to use Arctic armor for free. However, one thing about Perfect Form is that it gives you acrobatics, which means that your spell suppression is instead going to be spell dodge. And the more I play with spell suppression, the more I like it. It's a much more gradual kind of hit. Instead of taking either 0 damage or all the damage, it's kind of like you take little tiny bursts. So it gives you a chance to react to it. So I actually really prefer spell suppression as is. So that's why I'm not using the Perfect Form, and instead I'm using Tinkerskin. Something everyone has been asking is, how did I get my cold iron points so quickly? Well, firstly, I gotta be honest, I played a lot this weekend. I probably played 24 hours of Path of Exile in the past 2 days. So if you have a life and you don't have cold iron point, probably don't feel jealous of me because, you know, I've been sitting in my bedroom for the last 2 days playing. But that being said, I got my first one of these using a Tainted Mythic Orb. This has a chance to either convert a corrupted item into a unique, or it just deletes it. I have no idea what the chance of it is. I used 2 and I got 1 cold iron point. So I thought, hey, this might be a really good way to get cold iron points. So I bought like 5 more and it just deleted all of them. So I can't recommend that you do that method for this. However, something I can say is, if you find an Ezomite dagger on the ground, if you're using Neversink's loot filter, it will highlight just white Ezomite daggers. Pick those up, maybe have a stack of chance orbs in your inventory. Everyone you see, pick it up, chance it, maybe you get lucky. I don't know what the chance is, it's probably low, but I mean, if you hit it, it's a huge upgrade. As for my second one, I've just been farming fairly high-end content. I found a unique jewel in Delirium that I sold for a couple of X. I haven't actually found a single raw Exalt yet at almost level 92, 91, but just by farming and playing the game, I've found things that I can sell. One other thing is Deerstalker. People were saying, why don't you have trap support linked in your Exsanguinate setup? Well, it's because I'm using Deerstalker. Deerstalker socketed gems are supported by level 11 trap. This allows us to essentially have a 5-link Exsanguinate instead of a 4-link Exsanguinate. What's also nice about this is it gives us increased trap throwing speed, which means for Seismic Trap, the way Seismic Trap scales is that modifiers to trap throwing speed affects how quickly it releases waves. So if you look here, it says releases 5 waves every 0.5 seconds. If I take these off, releases 5 waves every 0.6 seconds. So that's another reason that these boots are super duper nice and I can't recommend them enough. As for the rest of my gear, again, this is just super budget, a bit of life, bit of resistances, bit of life, bit of resistances, same life resistances, nothing fancy. Another tip I can give you, get some seismic traps, level them in your offhands, and then when they reach level 20, what you can do is sell a level 20 gem with 1 GCP. You will get a level 1 gem with 20% quality. So I've had those leveling in my offhand the whole time. And once they hit level 20, I did that recipe and now I'm leveling them back up. Once they hit level 20 again, I'm going to vial all of them and try and get a level 21. Another question I've been asked a lot is, when should I transition to Exsanguinate Trap? I would say the time to do that is either after you've allocated Pyromaniac on the tree, on your Ascendancy rather, or after you've taken this node on the Trap Mastery, which is recover 30 life when your trap is triggered by an enemy. At least don't do it before you have acquired the chain support. So I went over to Exsanguinate at the end of Act 4 because that's when you get chain support. So if you're having a good time using Lightning Trap or something like that, then just keep going. But once you equip cooldown points, you're going to be doing no elemental damage. So, I mean, by then, you absolutely need to be using Exsanguinate. I believe that is going to be it for this video. I've been rambling for a long time. So if you have any other questions, please leave it in the comments and I will do a final build update. But I just wanted to address some of the things people have been asking, and I hope you've been having fun with this build. Let me know what else you want to know about it, and I'll answer you in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a Discord for all of our wonderful community members. You can check the link in the description below. If you really love the channel, I have a Patreon. You can check that out. I'm also streaming on Twitch. Links for that in the description. But anyway, have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe and see you in Scourge League. Bye-bye.
Exile, you're making me nervous.